Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Arthritis at Home. I'm Kelly Lendvoy, ACE's VP of Communications and Public Affairs, and today we're going to look at something that affects every patient who relies on medications, and that is, why are some drugs so expensive, and what role do pharmaceutical patents play in access to affordable treatment? I'm joined by Cheryl Koehn, president of ACE. Cheryl, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here again.
I'm looking forward to discussing the launch of the Patients and Patents website. It's part of a global patient-led initiative designed to help people better understand how patents work and can impact patients. So to start off, Cheryl, what is the Patients and Patents campaign, and why does it matter to people living with arthritis?
Well, the tagline for Patients and Patents, Kelly, is a grassroots educational campaign about patents, pharmaceutical patents. So that's the campaign is really an education-based campaign to try to sort of demystify, declutter, if you will, information about pharmaceutical patents. It's not an easy topic to get your head around. So the Patients and Patents campaign is really aimed at delivering sort of grassroots information on a topic, as you pointed out, that is very, very important to people. Why is it important to know about patents and how they affect patients? Well, drug prices are continuing to rise. And it's not just because, companies want to make a lot of money on them. Their shareholders want to make a profit on their investment. That's all fair. That's part of the free market process. But where it becomes a problem is when drug prices stay elevated because of patent manipulation, Kelly. So when a patent is up, expires, it does open up the door for more affordable medications to come into the marketplace. So that's really the problem. This campaign is not an anti-patent campaign. It's for a fair patent campaign, right? It's for fair patent law and for companies uh, to allow other companies to come into the space when it's fair to do so. So at the expiration of a patent. Um, Patents are meant to protect innovation, obviously, and recoup investment. That's great. That's the way we get new medicines into our medicine chest through that patent protection, right? Gives companies, shareholders a chance to recoup their investment, make some profit, and then continue to investigate new therapies and develop new therapies. Um, and and they're not supposed to, patents are not supposed to delay generics or biosimilars, which is what we have seen happening really over the last decade, but increasingly so in the more recent years, sort of 5, 6 years. Um, this campaign is going to help explain to people why that's happening and how it happens. And it's really focused on, to start, Canada, the US, and Australia. Our partners in those two countries, Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of the United States and the Australia Advocacy Patient Alliance, is have banded together because we tended to be taking interest in this topic. Issues were arising in our country, and so we really felt that we needed to educate our grassroots.
When people go to the website, what are they going to find there? What kind of information or resources is provided?
Yeah, so at www.patientsandpatents.info, they're going to find, like they do on our own website, Arthritis Consumer Experts website, clear explanations, Kelly, of how drug patents work in plain language. So we're trying to break down the complicated legal terms that you see in sort of trade publications or legal publications and break it down into language that you and I and our colleagues and our constituents, our members can understand. The site has an area which is sort of Q&A. What are the most common questions about pharmaceutical patents and how they might be manipulated, how prices are, sort of kept high, and how delays occur because of patent manipulation. So all of those things in the common questions and answers section. There's a glossary of terminology. You can only get smart about a topic, Kelly, if you do get your head around some of those terminologies that are being used. So what does patent thicketing mean? What's evergreening, patent evergreening? And a number of other sort of complicated legal terms, trade terms, legal terms, again, in plain language. So plain language sort of definitions. There's a news section which features videos, reports, and media coverage on this topic. So that if people really want to dive in and stay up to date, they can through patientsandpatents.info. And then importantly, there's some very valuable and simple to use tools and resources that people can use to learn more themselves, but also to share across their memberships and with the public, and importantly, with patent policymakers. They need to hear what people out in the public are thinking and feeling. What is the impact of patent misuse or patent abuse and manipulation on us as patients in the healthcare system?
So ACE is the secretariat of this campaign, and that means we've played a big role in creating this website. And I think it's also worthwhile to add for our audience that where possible, we've tried to provide examples from Canada to help people understand some of the complexities that you've been describing. And in the news section, we tried to find reports and news, not just from Canada, from Australia, from the United States, and from other countries, because we're hoping to expand the number of patient organizations that are going to be joining. Now, in terms of the how does this issue affect patients, I also want to add, because you just mentioned about policymakers, it affects not just the patients, but also healthcare systems who are all straining to try to find the money and funding to be able to provide coverage for as many essential medications as possible. How does this patent issue and the patent extension that you're describing affect patients and the healthcare system?
Well, so, starting with the N of one, the patient themselves, I can use myself as an example, Kelly. As you know, I live with rheumatoid arthritis. I have for many years. When someone like me is first diagnosed, one of the most important things is to get that diagnosis and then get a treatment plan in place right away. Because after 6 weeks, from the time symptoms first start to 6 weeks, that's your opportunity. We call it the window of opportunity. And this exists in most disease areas, okay? Especially chronic disease areas, where you can do your best to get control over this autoimmune kind of cascade of inflammation in RA. Delays beyond that, Kelly, you begin to accrue damage to your joints. Damage done in rheumatoid arthritis can never be undone. Fast forward to patents. Think of a more affordable medicine that's out there, but because of patent manipulation, a person like me can't get access to it. Patent delays don't happen for 6 weeks, Kelly. They happen for years. This is why this is so important. Because by the time I can afford that medicine, after all the legal battles are fought out and I get just access to a more affordable medicine, I have permanent damage. That's the real life consequences of patent manipulation. Okay? I don't get to choose the medicine that I need. I have to go to something else that's not as effective, perhaps, as this new biosimilar, this new generic form of the originator or the brand name, and I go down this slippery slope of disease. So That's the most sort of real way of describing it using my own disease. You can think about that in the setting of cancer. You can think about that in the setting of diabetes. Not having access to affordable medicines is for many life and death, or life and quality of life, loss of quality of life, I should say. Um, Another thing is you start thinking about ways to cut costs on the most expensive medicine that you're on, the patented medicine where patent battles are going on, and I can't afford it anymore. I start skipping doses. I
Mm.
stop taking it all together. I actually, in my community, drug sharing is not uncommon in folks who are socioeconomically disadvantaged, who are housing and food insecure, who are part of racialized minorities and don't have equitable access within the healthcare system. So, and all of this, Kelly, leads to disease worsening and permanent disability, as I described a minute ago. And then next, you think about how it affects the individual, think about how it's affecting the family. So if you can't get access, if patent policymakers don't make access happen to affordable medicines by upholding fair patent law, right? Families get affected. Caregivers can't go to work because they're too busy caring for me because I can't afford my medicine and I'm not doing very well. My place of employment, I can't do my normal job. It's affecting my coworkers through no fault of my own. It's affecting my employer. It's affecting the productivity of the entire workplace. And then lastly, it's affecting the whole healthcare system. Why? Because it's paying top dollar for off-patent medicines when more affordable versions exist. Safe, effective, more affordable versions exist. Again, not anti-patent, but when the patent is up, going through and doing all kinds of legal maneuvers to delay access so the company can make even more money instead of letting fair competition come in is simply not good for patients. And it's not good for healthcare systems.
And certainly uh, in North America, in Europe, in Australia, when you're talking about governments and drug plans continuing to pay originator brand prices for medications where there are more affordable alternatives, it's costing the systems in all of those countries billions of dollars, including Canada. So just to underline your point, Cheryl, we're not talking about, insignificant numbers here. And the work that ACE has done with the public drug plans across Canada, every drug plan across Canada, provinces and territories and federal, we've received commitments from those drug plans that with the savings that they incur from generics and most particularly from biosimilars, that would be reinvested into the healthcare system to benefit patients such as our audience who are living with arthritis. So I think that's a really important point that you've made.
Yeah, it's just again, patients and patents is not an anti-patent campaign. It is not an anti-innovation campaign. If anything, it is a pro-innovation campaign, as much as it is an affordable access to medicines campaign, Kelly. It's part of the ecosystem, right? It making more affordable medicines happen in the healthcare system shores up all kinds of other areas that are lacking for patients like myself, millions of patients around the world. And also, it encourages innovative medicine makers to really focus on new medicines, new patented medicines where they're granted a patent for 20 years to make that money back and more, and then they reinvest it back in their innovation cycle. So it's a very kind of complex cycle, but when you sort of jam a steel rod in the gearbox, everything comes to a halt and things suffer.
Well, finally, one last question, Cheryl. What can patients or patient organizations do if they want to get involved in the campaign?
Well, I think a great place to start is to visit patientsandpatents.info, Kelly. That's the sole reason why ACE, Australia Patient Advocacy Alliance, and Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of the United States built it. We figured if you build it, they will come. And we are really hoping that people who encounter the campaign, either as an individual patient or just a member of the public, but certainly as a patient organization, Kelly, will go there and learn from the information found on the website. We want people to share it, obviously, and share it widely. We particularly want folks to go to the advocacy toolkit and the join the conversation sections of the website after they've taken in some of the other knowledge on the other areas of the website. So get smart about patients and patents, so to speak. Then go to the toolkit and learn more and share. We want people to take action. Advocacy is about taking action. So learning is the first step, sharing is the second step, and then speaking out is the third step, Kelly. And it doesn't come all at once, right? Sometimes you got to find your way, find your footing, feel confident. But that's really what we're trying to do is raise awareness and call people to action. And then we really want other patient organizations to reach out to our leadership group, to the three organizations who are leading Patients and Patents campaign to learn more and, have one-on-one calls. We're planning on hosting webinars. So there's going to be activities that patient organizations and their members can and get involved in. And you can find our contact information under the Join the Conversation section of the website. So, everyone reach on out. We're here. We want to talk.
That's great. And we'll have some links at the end of this episode to sort of shortcut that search. So please look for some of that information at the end. And Cheryl, thank you once again for taking time to join us, and look forward to hearing more about this really important initiative, co-led by ACE, but with global reach. Thank you
Yeah.
again.
Thank you.
And thanks to you, our audience, for joining us on this episode. We look forward to seeing you again. Bye for now.